Here we are going to introduce a new idea which is called extension methods. Now, extension methods in general extends a class, but it's a little differently. For example, over here we do have this class, question class or questions controller, but this is a class. You may forget, you don't need to worry about this one. Just remember, this is a class. Now over here we want to extend it. And what I mean by that, actually, we want to add some new properties or functions based on this class, which also means that, for example, this class has some properties variables, and I want to use them over here. I want to get them from here and use them over here. So this is called extension methods. And how to do that? Now, first, you need to write the word extension. As you can see, it already popped up. Extension. And then you have to give a name to your extensions. For example, we could say questions controller extension. Now over here, you need to write a keyword which is called on. And on which class we want to extend on this class. So let's go ahead and copy this class and put it here. And then we'll have curly braces. Now, because this is a class, let's go ahead and import it. Now what will happen? Because of this one, actually, we'll be able to access the properties, like for example, loading status, all questions, question index, and even the getters, okay? So pretty much all the properties would be accessible over here. So based on that, you can do a lot of new stuff, but those new stuffs are, or those new calculations or whatever we do, they would be limited over here. It won't affect over here. So this is also separation, and at the same time, adding new features based on the older class or packages or library. Okay, when you do extension, you add new features on the third-party packages or libraries, but the way we do it, it doesn't affect the third-party library or package. For example, over here we have this variable which is called all questions, which is a list, and actually we want to access it over here and do something new. Now over here we want to create a getter based on this all questions, and we'll call it correct question count. You can name it anything. Now because this is a getter, now over here I can access all questions. As you see, our editor Android Studio recognizes it automatically, and because this is a list over here, so we can access all the properties a list should have. For example, here we can access the where method. Okay, now where method has element. Now element, we can take that one, and whatever the properties the element itself has, we can access that. For example, our element has selected answer. We are going to check if the selected answer is same as element dot correct answer. Okay, now if it is true, then based on that we'll convert it to a list, and after that we'll get the length of it, and that's as simple as that one. So you see the magic happened. We accessed all questions, and whatever this all questions mean, whatever it is, if it has some underlying properties, methods or functions, we'll be able to access all of them, and based on that, if we do something new, we're gonna save it in a variable. So this is what we could do inside extension. Hopefully it makes sense. Now if we did this extension, actually, now extension we did based on our older class, which is called questions controller. Now what if we want to use this extension in our UI? And that's pretty easy. Now this is the UI actually where we want to use this extension. Now if you're going to use it, actually we don't need to mention this extension name. Actually we can mention just this one. So we'll copy this, and right over here, instead of stateless class, here we do get view, and inside this we'll put our controller. And of course we need to import the library over here. Now because this is the number of correct answer, right? Here we are selecting how many answers are correct based on these questions. So it will return a certain number, and that number, which is this one, actually would be able to access over here. Now since we did this one, so what we could do, we could just simply remove this over here, and over here we'll have text, and because this is a controller, so we can access the controller property, and then we can access this one, and we'll work on this. So let's load them, and we are over here. So we'll just select some random answers. It doesn't really matter. Okay, now if we click on this complete button, it will take us to this result screen over here. And here we see that we have one correct answer. So which means that we are able to access this property, which was actually inside this extension. But in the UI, you don't need to mention this extension, which is also called extension methods. Actually, the way you write it, this is called extension methods, and you can access that in your UI just like this. Beautiful. Anyway, so now we'll go ahead and create more methods inside this. So this is number of correct questions. Now, well, this is number of correct questions count. So we can create another one, correct answered questions. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. See, here we'll create a getter, and that would be string type. And since it's a getter, we do here like this get, and correct, let's see, answered questions. Well, based on that, we'll return something. What are we returning? Let's see. So over here, we'll just go ahead and copy this one. So this is the total correct questions answer. And then over here, we do out of. Now, as I said that we can access all questions count, this one, right? Then here we do length. Now over here, we can say are correct. Beautiful. And right after this, we'll just simply return like this. So what's the title? Title should be controller dot all correct answers questions, this one. Now let's go ahead and save it, and we see that it changes.